What's up, everybody? This is Ricky Olson, as usual. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you very much for all the positive feedback on episode number 1. I hope I have a chance to go back and talk to Vin again at some point. I'm sure that I will. I'm at his house pretty much once a week, so I'm sure that we'll find time to maybe go a little bit more in depth about some topics. Another thing I wanted to say was thank you all very, very much for the birthday wishes. You guys are all so awesome, and without fail, you guys always just blow me away with how much love and support you guys show. So thank you very much again for that. And yeah, so on to today. Today I'm talking to a very good friend of mine, Mr. Bryce Hall, who is a photographer. He's a I don't know if there's really a distinction between a touring photographer and a regular photographer, but he consistently finds himself on tour, so I guess that would make him a touring photographer. Anyway, he is our photographer. He is a photographer for many other bands as well, and he's very, very good at what he does. He's a very talented person and a really great guy. He has a lot of cool things to say about a lot of cool topics, and this episode was particularly fun to record just because of all the different topics that we somehow managed to go off on tangents about. So, with that being said, this is episode number 2. And we are good to go. I'm here with Mr. Bryce Hall, who is one of my favorite people of all time.
That's nice. Hello. It is me.
Hi, Bryce. Bryce.
Hey, Rick.
Bryce was just telling me that he just bought the Sony A7 III, and what were you saying about something happened to your other camera?
Yeah, so when I left Warp Tour with you guys and went to Europe with Gojira on like the second show, my A7S II just stopped working. I don't know what happened to it. It just I think there was something internal in it that malfunctioned or fried, but it just flat out quit. And I didn't have a backup camera. So when I got home, that was one of the first things I had to do was buy a camera, especially since this weekend coming up, we'll be doing a show together. So I needed a camera.
How long were you there before your camera broke? I mean, were you there without a camera the whole time?
Well, most of the time, yeah. So it was our second show and the camera broke at the very end of the set. And that was like day 3 of 14. So I still had almost 2 weeks left. Luckily, the band had a camera. They had like a Canon. I forget it was weird because it was a French camera. So it was like a different number to it, but I think it was like equivalent to like a Canon 7D.
Okay.
From here. So luckily they had that. So I was able to use that and, still put together everything and shoot everything I needed to. Cause I tried to go and buy another camera while I was there, but the only 2 off days that we were in these little tiny towns in Germany and then one in the Netherlands somewhere. And all the cameras were overpriced by like $300.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna. The band was cool with me using their camera. I was like, yeah, I'd rather just use that camera and get the same quality of content I would get with me not having to go spend, $1,000 on just a camera that's not even as good as the one I was using.
Yeah. So what made you go with the A7 III over anything else?
I've been looking into it, and I mean, I love the A7S II, and I use it mainly for filming, video. But a lot of my autofocus on it has always been kind of wonky for me. Like it will always try to search and find the focal point, and it's not supposed to do that. So that was one of the downsides, and that's what I've been looking up. And a lot of people on the A7S II had the same problem. So like, yeah, it's really bad at keeping autofocus. And I use a gimbal, so I'm using autofocus. 90% of the time that I'm shooting. So I looked into it in the A7 III. That was one of the things that they had made better about this one was that it has more focal points and it picks up on the subject easier and stays with the subject easier. And the buffer time it has between, like, if a subject's moving towards you, of trying to find the subject is not even comparable to the A7S II. It picks it up so quickly, whereas the A7S II doesn't. So, and that's one of the main reasons. And plus, it was more affordable than getting an A7R2 or 3, or even getting another A7S II. So I just went with that because everyone that has it likes it, and it's been on back order since a few weeks ago. I found a camera store here in Orlando that had a few in stock, and I reserved one. I went and picked it up, but they've been, sold out on back order for weeks now. So that means that, to me, that means something.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know that the A7 III, is that similar to the A9 as far as autofocus points and shutter time and all that kind of stuff?
That's what they were comparing it to. Everything that I read, it was in comparison to, the A7S II and the A9. And, like, they referred to, every time they talk, because I don't know a lot. Like, I'll read up on a camera, but, like, I don't know a lot of the points they bring up in it. Like, I like, if you were to ask me right now, something really specific about the camera, as far as, like, how many focal points does this have and what does this mean? I don't necessarily know all of that. I don't have the education on, like, the ins and outs of, like, the technical terms, but everything that they were saying and bringing up and talking about that was better was comparable to the A9. So yeah, I think they took a lot of the good from the A9 and put it into this camera.
So then what's the point of having the A9 or the A7R or the A7S when, I mean, to me, it feels like the A7 III is pretty much the best parts of all of those cameras combined into one.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just confused on what Sony's trying to do with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know the A7R series is like 42 megapixels or something like that. And the A7S II is just really good at video. So I don't know. I mean, I think they just released this, so I'm pretty sure this is their first take. Like, okay, well, all of our cameras we've had in the past, let's pick out what people didn't like. Let's take that out. Let's put in what people did like all into one camera and make it affordable, which is this. And then now, in the next upcoming months, or maybe even next year, then they'll start rolling out, the A7S III, the A7R Mark IV, the whatever else. So I think this is their tactic. They put out these cameras, they see what people like about it, and they put it all into one affordable camera. So everyone's going to buy that and then come out with new stuff. Because I'm sure, like, the A7, what I'm hoping is, like, the A7S III will have, 4K at 60 frames,
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
things like that. So I'm like, the A7 III can't do that now. So, they release that at the end of the year. People are going to want to go to the A7S III.
Does the A7S III shoot in log?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
So
So,
is that part of the reason why you went that route, was because that was
yes.
available?
Yes. Because I don't think that was, because I looked at the A7R2, but I don't think that was an option. I can't quite remember, but I don't think that was an option on the A7R2.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that's a big reason, because I mean, because right now, like, my A7S II is getting fixed. So when I bring that back, that's going to be my backup camera, or just my secondary camera when I have to shoot. So I want to be sure that I'm still able to record everything the same as I would on my A7S II, because I've had that for so long now.
Yeah. Phew. How much is that repair gonna run you? Do you know?
I have insurance on it, so it's not going to cost me anything. It's
Oh,
just, I don't know how long it's going to take on it. So I didn't want to set it up for chance and it not be here in time. So I
I
needed to
gotcha.
get something for the weekend. And I mean, I couldn't find this camera for a couple of weeks. 'Cause, like I said, it was on back order, and, like, I just happened to find a camera store here in Orlando that had gotten a shipment of them in, like, that same day, and half of them have already been sold out. So I reserved one and went and picked it right up. So this is the one I've been looking for. But if anything, I would have just went and got, a 6500 or something for the show this weekend. But I want to make sure everything's, top notch. Not, oh, this looks kind of shitty because I had to go get a 6500 to shoot real quick.
But the 6500 is, I mean, that's supposed to be a great camera, right?
It is, yeah, it is a great camera.
So then, I mean, why would that be bad to shoot on that?
It doesn't shoot in log, for one.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
see.
so that's the main reason why. I just wanted everything to look consistent.
Yes, I understand. I understand your predicament.
Yes, that is my predicament at this point. So, but yeah, and do you have the A7S too, or did you change cameras? Didn't you get something else?
No, I have the A7S II. My girlfriend has the A7 II.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's right.
So
That you didn't bring on tour this summer.
no, I had it.
Did Brian bring his camera? Who didn't bring their camera?
I think we both had our cameras.
I'm getting camps mixed up. Shame on me.
I don't know who you're thinking of. I had mine. I didn't shoot with mine very often, but I had it with me the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. Because we went and shot a few days. I don't know what I'm thinking.
I don't know what you're thinking either.
Oh, you know what it was? It was Ryan had gotten a Polaroid and he didn't bring it.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
I was pissed.
I think he bought a second one too recently.
Good. He needs to bring them to everything.
Are you making the switch to? I mean, not making the switch, but you're falling into the
I'm
Polaroid life.
I'm going full film boy over here for sure. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. I never got to shoot that, so it kind of gives me, a new appreciation for it.
So you started on digital, I'm presuming, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was too late in the game. I was bummed because because like my high school was so small that we didn't have, like a photography class or someone there that like taught you how to, develop your own film or use a dark room. Like I went straight into digital, and by my sophomore year I was teaching the only photography like class that we had was yearbook. So you had to join yearbooks to do any type of photo or video or learn, anything.
Mm-hmm.
And by my sophomore year I was teaching my teacher stuff. So
Wow.
it wasn't yeah, they weren't like highly educated in photo and video or like showed you the ins and outs. Like I learned a little bit of InDesign, which was cool, but yeah, we didn't really have like a photo or video class. So it was strictly, started out on Canon T2Is or Canon, the lower end models of Canon, and that's what I started on. So I never got to do film or like, use the dark room or, anything like that, which looking back now, I wish I would have, because I would definitely love to set up like my own little dark room. And I've been looking at classes. Probably during my time off, I am going to go take a few classes to learn that, because I feel like it's becoming such a lost art now to like develop your own photos or to like have a dark room or anything like that. So yeah, I'm glad on one hand that I was able to like start in digital, and now I know, digital like the back of my hand, but I really enjoy now shooting, film constantly and getting it developed and seeing it come back. And, even the bad shots are still like, there's something special about it. So I like that. It gives, like I said, it gives me like more of an appreciation for like, you can take a million photos of someone standing in the same spot and be like, I don't like any one of them, but it's like you only get one with a Polaroid, and you have to wait for it to develop to see what it even looks like. So I don't know, just it's really cool and really neat.
Yeah, it's definitely there's something magical about film. I agree.
Yeah, it's just cool.
I want to go back to when you said you were teaching your teachers. Were were you teaching them digital because they were all versed in film, I guess?
I think that might have been the case. I didn't really know. Like I just knew that when I came in there and my teacher would say, for example, she's like, "Oh, how do you take these photos and make them look, this way or this sharp?" And I was like, "We have to change the aperture." And she kind of didn't know the terms, so she was like, "What's the aperture?" And she goes, "Oh, the little f thing." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the aperture." So, showing them like, how to change the aperture, get, a more like shallow depth of field and everything like that. And they didn't really know much about that. They were very much, put the camera on auto, go out and shoot, and then, mess with it later in Photoshop. That was, they weren't worried about getting a good image raw. They were just worried, okay, we'll get an image raw and then we'll mess with it in Photoshop and make it look perfect. And it's like, well, I don't like that. And that's why I was pretty much showing them, how you get a good shot in camera compared to just getting a shot, putting it in Photoshop. And that's still what I do now. I don't ever take a photo and be like, oh yeah, well, I'll just mess this around in Photoshop. Like, as you know, like most of my photos are just, I put them in Lightroom and I'll touch them up and everything. But like for the most part, it's pretty much how it looks on camera.
And I think that a lot of people rely very heavily on Lightroom and Photoshop and all of those digital manipulation programs. I mean, I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else. I mean, I love putting a photo into Lightroom and just completely making it look entirely different than you would go out and see, in person.
Hmm.
And I think that there's something cool to be said for that as well. But I also understand what you're saying is because I mean, there's this whole new generation of photographers that have built their entire career on just doing that. They just will take a picture and manipulate it, and that's that. Or they'll combine their whole thing is combining two photos in Photoshop, where uh, almost that kind of surreal vibe, which is cool. It's just, I mean, are you really a photographer at that point, or are you more of a an image manipulator? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's a good point. I never really thought about that before, but yeah, I don't know. Like as much as I want to sit, like I follow a bunch of different like photo and like design accounts on Instagram, and when someone posts something that's just like, I mean, obviously it was photoshopped and they spent a lot of time in it. Just it's like, wow, I wish I could like make something like that. And then I try to sit down and do it, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I just would rather not dip into this realm whatsoever. So it's kind of a back and forth. Like I would love to do it, but yeah, I never thought about it that way. I guess in a sense you are. I mean, especially people who, I mean, there's people who just take stock photos and do all that too and will post them. So it's like they're not even considered a photographer whatsoever. I mean, or no, I mean, they wouldn't be.
So, I mean, then that begs the question: what makes you a photographer? I mean, is that if those people are getting paid to do what they're doing? I mean, technically they would be photographers, but are they? I mean, I don't know where the line is, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
I mean, I guess you could go back to not the cliche thing to say, but I guess there are no lines in art. There's no boundaries, so you can do whatever you want. But I guess as far as a label goes for it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess yeah, they would be. If I mean, I guess if you're taking the photograph and you're giving the end result, then yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would definitely be the photographer. But I mean, I guess photo manipulation is definitely a big. I mean, okay, so if you take a photo outside and you completely change everything, the colors of the sky, the face, the structure of everything, and completely manipulate the photo, or would you consider that? Oh yeah, I'm still a photographer because I took this photo and manipulated it.
No, I would say that you're very skilled in Photoshop and you should probably be working on models for magazines.
It's a good point because there are yeah a lot of photographers that shoot that kind of stuff don't even edit their own photos.
I mean, it makes sense because you're a photographer, you take the picture, whereas I feel like now because Lightroom and Photoshop and all of uh, these photo applications that are available to the consumers, it's so much more, I guess, expected of photographers to know those things and to learn them and say, you're a photographer, so you have to know how to do this and you have to know how to do this. It just goes back to what you were saying earlier that are you a photographer if you take the picture and manipulate it, or are you just taking the picture and pretty much how it is in frame is what is the end result?
Yeah, I don't know. That's it's weird because see if you had asked me that question, I would probably say yes that I am the photographer, even though, well, I mean it depends. If I'm taking the photo, if you take the photo, like two photos, and you merge them in Photoshop and make a completely new manipulated photo that looks nothing like the two, I
Yes.
would I would still say that you're the photographer.
Okay.
But I mean,
I guess it
opinions.
just depends on who you ask then at that point, right?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, because I wouldn't expect someone who, like, if you were a great editor and I shot two photos and sent them to you and you edited them and then you posted them, then yeah, you wouldn't be. I would think something's wrong if you're like, oh yeah, I was the photographer for this, even though you're talking about the piece as a whole. Like if
Yeah.
someone's like, oh, who shot this, who put this together, and you're like, I did, then I would be like, well, that's where the line would be drawn.
Yeah. Because then you're taking credit for things that you didn't, half of it that you didn't do. which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
taking the photo itself.
But as a photographer, I wouldn't want to post that photo and be like, oh, yeah, I shot this, because then it looks nothing like what I originally shot.
Yeah. So how?
So at that,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, so I mean, because I was thinking about this the other day, because it's like, you know, if someone shoots a music video and they send me all the footage to shoot to edit it together, like, hey, here's everything that we shot. Here's what the director was going for, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, what the end result is. You put this together. Okay. I put it together. Band approves. They post it. You know, am I going to post it and be like, oh, look at this video I worked on with blah, blah? Well, I wouldn't want to do that because I didn't shoot the video. I didn't do everything with the video. But same thing goes for the director, whether the guy who shot the video post that and say, oh, look at this great video I did with blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but it's only half work. So where do you, like, at what point? I don't know.
It's a
It's,
complicated
it's,
topic.
it is. Yeah. I don't know. Like, because I've helped people film videos before, and I'm still hesitant to post about it because I didn't edit it together. If I just shot a portion of the video and gave them footage, I really don't want to post about it and be like, oh, look at this video I helped film, because I don't want to have to point out what parts I filmed, or who gets credit for what. It's a very weird, because I just got done coloring and cutting a video for a band, but I've been thinking, like, am I going to even post about this? Because I didn't film this. I cut it, but I didn't film it. And I keep thinking vice versa. If I shot someone's video and sent it off to get edited and colored, I probably wouldn't post about it still, because I only did half the work on it. So I think in both cases, I just wouldn't even say anything about it, which is why a lot of my stuff doesn't get posted.
Well, I think at that point it just becomes a resume piece.
Yeah, definitely. I
So
mean, I know some people are all about it. I mean, I see people post all the time, and they're like, "Oh, I was, second DP on this video shoot, or I was the gaffer on this shoot." It's like, okay,
cool. What's a
I mean,
gaffer?
yeah, yeah, or I filmed some parts in this video. Well, okay, I guess you can leave a time code that so I can see exactly what you filmed. But I don't know. I guess it's hard, and I haven't really been in that position to where I've worked with a team on that scale. Like, I haven't worked, on a music video with a team before, so I don't really know. If I was in that situation, would I still post about it? But in every other situation like that, I just don't, because I feel like when I post something, it's, especially with me, just on my account, it's like, okay, when I post a video, it's done all by me, and everyone, what I at least think everyone, like, knows that. So I don't have to, like, say, oh, I did this or this, or I cut this, or I colored that. It's like, no, I posted it because I did it.
hmm
And I know some people will post, like I said, and say, every little part they did. But for me, if I didn't do everything in it, then I don't really want to post it or feel like I should post it, because even with a disclaimer, people will still be like, "Oh yeah, so and so did this," and it's like, "Well, no, you're getting that wrong. They didn't do that, or I didn't do everything in the video." So I don't know, and maybe that's not good of me in my career to do that, but that's just how I do things right now.
Do you think that part of that comes from, I guess, the inherent need for people to be accepted and to be prideful about things that they accomplish? Even though they didn't fully do something, like they didn't edit the whole video or they didn't film the whole video, they're still proud of something that they accomplished, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But I mean, I feel like there's a it's less of, at least these days, it's less I'm proud of this and more look at what I did. Look at how special I am.
and that's where, and I think that's the reason why I don't do it, because especially, you know it more than I do. In this industry, it's more about ego than it is about, appreciation.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's my thing, is I am so anti ego, even though, like, everyone has an ego and it shows, from time to time. And I'm hypocritical in saying that, like, oh, I don't want to have an ego or whatever. I don't want to come across as being egotistical, but I do want to be proud and show my work that I do. And there's such a fine line with that I see so many people that will just post something and I'm just like, gosh, that just comes off as a little egotistical to me, at least. And I just don't ever want to come across that way to anybody, even though I probably have before and I can't please everybody, but I don't ever want to come across as being, a dickhead or, whatever. I'm just happy to be where I'm at and I just want to put out good content. So I don't need to, you know, post everywhere I go or, check in on Facebook every single place I go to or talk about every, person I hang out with that has some kind of importance to them. Like I don't need to do that, even though I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. I don't want to do that and I don't need to do that. So I feel like that's where like a lot of it, like, if I helped work on a video for this thing, it's like cool, unless I did everything in it, I don't want to post about it because I want to show my work. Like I want to showcase what I do, not what I helped on. And I might be completely backwards in my train of thought. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but as of right now in my life, that's one of my focuses is just not, I don't want to come across as a dickhead because I see too many photo, video, and industry people that just they come across as so egotistical and just you're around them and you're like why do you need to be like that? Like the whole reason I got into like this industry was to not avoid it because it's everywhere, but like I didn't want to do the rat race of, normal life and normal jobs and, all that bullshit. I wanted to focus on what I love and what I want to do and the people I want to be around. So I don't want to ever jeopardize that by being, getting an ego over something that I shouldn't get an ego over. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that it seems like the more accomplished somebody is, the less of an ego they have?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back and forth. Yeah. It's just funny because we just came off a tour where the smallest band that plays in front of 15 people will treat you like you would expect Blink 182 to treat some people, or like arena bands to treat some people, like just the way they talk to like people and their crew and the way they talk about themselves. And it's just like, yeah, you played in front of 100 people today. That's cool. But like, why are you such a dickhead?
I think that it's worse with local bands or bands that are up and coming. I for some reason it seems like they all have this chip on their shoulder that they need to prove themselves or something and make sure everybody knows how important they are. And I think that it's great to have some sort of grounding of where you're at in the grand scheme of things, but I also think it's cool to not be an asshole.
Yeah, definitely. Anti asshole, 100%. But do you think, I just, I feel like in our scene in particular, there are bands and members of bands that are all over social media, flaunting everything they have, acting like, they're the next big thing, while also preaching about how they came from the bottom and how we used to play in front of nobody and now we're this, but now they're at that certain level and they're acting like dickheads, whether it's a persona they're keeping up or whether it's just they're shitty people and got put in a good position or whatever else. And all these fans idolize them and they look up to them and think, oh, if I want to be in that kind of position, I need to act like that. And I feel like, and I've seen it firsthand. I mean, we both have, where it's like local bands will come in and act a certain way. And it's like, hey, like you're opening up for a club tour. Like, there's no reason you should act like this whatsoever. And they don't get it. And I wonder, like, do you think it's because of all these personas that all these different members or bands might have is like trying to be the tough guy and behind closed doors they're not, but the way they present themselves online, I mean, it's influencing people, no?
I mean, I think to some degree, it's it's just hard to say because I don't know directly how much influence those particular people have on up and coming bands or I guess I'm just unaware of who is, the bigger band that does that kind of thing that other people will look up to. I'm just not sure exactly why they would look up to those people, but maybe that's just because I don't think that any of that stuff is cool. I don't care about flashy cars and a big house and crazy amount of money and all this shit. I guess it wouldn't be a stretch to say that those people are influencing a younger generation at all. But
Yeah.
I don't know that those people are the sole cause of the attitudes and the I'm fucking better than everyone, that whole thing, because it's so hard. I'm trying to think, and I want to say so badly that, these bands haven't been around for long enough to influence these people. I mean, before our time, all it was fucking 80s hair metal and 90s new metal. And uh, those bands all, even though they probably all were very nice people and didn't act like dickheads, they also actually lived a lifestyle where they had a shit ton of money and they had all these things, and that was just life for them. They didn't have to show it off. And maybe it's partly because now there's social media and there is a way to show off what you have now. And
Yeah.
showing off what you have is this grand, just the be all end all of look at how successful I am.
Hmm.
If you have a Lamborghini or if you have a Ferrari or if you have a big house in the Hollywood Hills, people automatically associate that with success, and they don't think about, well, that person could be fucking house poor, have no money, have literally nothing to eat, and everything that they make just goes right into all of those items. So I think that
It's
there's a different perspective that people don't see. I mean, depending on who they're talking about.
yeah. I mean, the grass is always greener.
That it is.
Yeah. But I mean, going back to like, influencing these people, you say you don't know if these bands have that big of an influence on people, but you have to remember it's people that it's all types of bands of people, but it's also people you've been touring besides because you are in a band that has influenced other bands.
I mean, yeah, at that
W-
point, yeah, I would agree with that. I
Yeah.
guess it's just
So,
hard to really gauge, I guess I'm so removed from, even though I'm in the middle of it all, I'm so removed from thinking about what other people are doing because I don't care what other people are doing. I care about what
mhm.
I'm doing. I care about what my band is doing, and that's it. So I don't mean that in a, I guess, just an ignorant way where I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm just like, I see it. I guess because I don't care, I just don't think about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing to do. I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about it the other day because, I mean, obviously, like when a couple years ago, I was so immersed in the music scene, like I would know the second a band dropped a video or whether if a band got into like, some kind of online beef with each other. Like I was so involved in it. And now over the years, I've, weeded that out of my social media and like who I follow and what news I get to the point now where like I didn't even know some of these bands had released new music last week,
Hmm.
or like bigger bands like like I didn't know Bring Me had released a new song or did like a secret show in London, and it was like a big thing. Everyone posted about it, but I don't know. Like I just follow so few people now, or like, and even on my phone so little now that I don't even see what's going on like at all. I spend most of my day out in my yard.
I mean, I think that's good. I think that that's a good mindset to be in, a good place to be in. It's just
Yeah, it's just yeah,
it's crazy when you actually get so deeply involved with what you're doing that the whole world just kind of melts away and you stop noticing when, I mean, I can't even tell you the newest band that came out. I There's bands that we've been on tour with that I didn't even know who they were.
oh yeah, 100%.
And then that just makes you feel old because you're just thinking, how long have this band how long has this band been around that I didn't know about it and we're just now touring with them? It just makes you feel so far apart from what you're actually a part of, and it's really really bizarre.
It's funny because I think the past couple of years of touring have definitely gotten me, in that mindset of like I don't care what's going on outside of my life that I'm living right this very second. And not to get political in any way at all, but it's even like when people were freaking out that Trump was going to be our president, and like, everything's going to change and this and that. And I might be super ignorant in saying, that nothing has really affected me at all, so I don't really care. And it's probably bad of me to say that, but I don't, unless it's affecting me directly and my job and how I make money, then I just don't care. Like, I don't care what he said. I don't care what he's doing. Like, I care about what I'm doing, and I care about what's happening in my life as far as my career and who I'm touring with and things like that. But like, unless it's affecting me directly or my like every day to day activities, then I just don't care.
See, and then there would be people that would say, you're the problem. You're the reason that things aren't changing because you're selfish and you don't care.
100%. Yeah. And I know that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I could die tomorrow and I'm just going to, be put in a box in the ground. You know, I, and that is not going to matter who was president when I die. I mean, that's the thing is you die alone, and that's so depressing, but it's like, it's true. I mean, you don't know what happens next. So I think in that sense, it's like, and yeah, I am being selfish and I'm focusing on about me and my family, and that's it. And until that is affected, then I just, I don't have any means to go and fight a battle that has no importance to me.
I'm not saying that that's wrong to think at all, because that's how I feel, and I strongly believe that the world would be a significantly better place if everyone thought that way. Because I think people are so concerned with what everyone else is doing. Just fucking focus on yourself. Do your own thing
Yeah.
and just worry about what you want to do in life, and you'll be so much happier if you just did that.
Rick, you're a part of the problem. No, but yeah, I mean, yeah, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that, and like my parents don't agree with that either. But that's just, I 100% agree with you. I feel like the world would be a better place because you can just, even like when I go to the gym, there'll be TVs on. I'll glance at what the news stories are, and it's just the dumbest shit ever about anything that happens. And like, my parents are so involved. They're like, "Did you hear about this that happened here? You shouldn't go here." Like, even when I told my mom about the about shipwrecked, she was just like, "Oh no, oh no, you can't go to Mexico." And I'm like, "Why?" "Well, didn't you see the news and blah 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 and this or that?" And I'm just like, "Mom, it's like, you just, no, just don't feed into that." Like, yes, bad shit happens everywhere. I'm sure someone trying to come to the United States can see what's happening and say the same exact thing about it.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, so it's like, and that's my argument with her every time where she, when she doesn't want me to go overseas. I'm just like, well, look what was in the news from America this week, or look what the USA Today posted. She's just like, well, yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like there's too much bullshit. There's too much bullshit accessible to people, and people are looking for it. Not looking for bullshit, but they're just looking to see what's going on. That they will read in and feed into anything, and it's toxic.
They just want a reason to feel. They want a reason to be mad, or to be upset, or to be happy about something. And I feel like people seek out the news and Facebook and all of these outlets because they don't have anything else to worry about in their life, because their life is so safe that the only thing that they could possibly see that would upset them would be something outside of their life.
I feel like people confide in social media too much, and I feel like it's making a lot of this new generation antisocial. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a huge group of this generation coming up that they don't interact with a lot of people outside of the internet. So all their friendships and interactions and best friend times are on Twitter, or the comments they'll get, or the Facebook posts they'll see. And so it's like, then when something bad happens, they go online and post about it, or they have to put their opinion on every BuzzFeed video that comes through. And it's just the most ignorant shit posted on there. But it's like, people have stopped communicating with other people, or venting or confiding in actual humans, and now they're confiding to, I mean, they still are confiding to actual humans, but now a large group of people who think they can post whatever they want because, well, I'm not talking to them in person. I mean, you know all the fucked up shit that's on the internet that people say, and you're like, you would not say any of that if you were in person or facing that person, or out in public, or anything. So it's just very weird to see how much people will post online for literally anybody to see, but they have no other, like, they feel like they have no other option. They feel like they have no other way to vent or anyone to talk to. And it's, I think, because everyone's growing up on, you see kids that are 5, 6 years old now that have a phone just to have, just to go on the internet. And it's like, I wasn't allowed on the internet until, way, way later than that. It's just, it's very strange to see how many people are now sucked into social media before they can even choose for themselves if they want to go on it or not.
Yeah, and it's crazy that parents, I mean, kids' lives, social media lives start when they're born now. I mean, people make pages for their unborn children, and from the time that that baby is born, they have pictures posted about them. I've seen people post shit as if they were the baby posting stuff, and
It's so cringy.
I,
So cringy, dude.
it is. But at the same time, I mean, how are those? I don't think we've gotten to a point yet where those kids have grown up and seen all of the embarrassing things that their parents posted about them is just accessible to the world. I mean, when those people grow up, anybody that they know is going to be able to go back and look at all of these things that could completely just destroy their life.
Yeah, but if you think about it, those people aren't going to think twice because they're just conditioned to think that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, at this
I
point,
mean,
yeah,
I mean,
you're
think,
right.
I mean, think about it as like, it's nowhere near similar. But when parents would keep baby books and then bring them over, and they would show them off, and like, yeah, some people would be like, "Oh, mom," like embarrassed about it. But it's like, you really think about it, it's just a normal thing. Like, and now these kids growing up aren't going to have baby books. They're going to have baby photo book Instagrams, or like, their life on Instagram. It's like, oh, here's when you were born and here's you now. And I think that's just going to become normal with people. They're not going to think twice about it or think, oh, that's so embarrassing. Like, it's just, oh, well, here's you as a baby open to the public for anyone to see because, well, we wanted you to get likes, and, we want you to feel important when you're older. It's like, oh, look at this. This got 400 likes. I don't know. I can't even fathom how it's going to be, because that just, to me, just sounds so like a really bad future sci-fi movie, that it's just like, oh, you want to see when I was a baby? Oh, go to my page and like go on there, and it's just you from an infant until, from everything from, like, yeah, it's just, it's so bizarre to me. But I just think it's going to be normal for people now. Like, they just think that's how it is. If you have a baby, well, I got to post all about it. From every little thing they do. It's just, it's a little weird.
It's just so fucking crazy, man. It's just I don't know. Maybe just because we grew up without all that stuff that it seems so just out of your mind to do that kind of thing. I don't know what it
I
is, but
mean,
something about it is just so
yeah,
fucked up to me.
it's I don't know. Like, I understand it from, like, like, I have family members all over there able to see photos I post. And like, that's the good part of social media, is like, okay, it does keep everyone connected. And I can, talk to my cousin who I wouldn't normally talk to just through a little conversation on Facebook. And that to me is cool, but it's weird. It's like, I don't even know what it's like. I don't know. It's so weird. I can't even grasp the concept of it sometimes. Like, there's so much good in social media, so much good. I mean, my career is around social media. Your career, in a sense, is focused around, a big part of it is focused around social media. I mean, it has been since you guys started in
Yeah. Oh yeah.
MySpace. It's like, networking has to happen, especially in this day and age. It's not a record label finds you, go on tour, you're all over the radio, and suddenly you're in arenas because that's all people can check out. It's like, no, you have, like, with as many bands there are now, and social media being so flooded with, every day there's a new band coming out, a new marketing strategy. What's the next band that's going to come out? And it could be any band. I mean, it could literally be an overnight success, or a band that works for years and years. But it's always been about marketing on the internet, and that's the good part of social media. But I guess now, if you look at it, it's like, okay, that's good. And like for a band like you that's already established itself to a certain point, you can focus on your marketing and what goes into it and how, how it's going to look to your fan base. But now you have, you know, 150 bands, you know, fighting for one label spot. And they all have music videos, they all have good content rolling out, they all are trying to get a fan base put together. And it's like, is that the bad part of social media where now it's becoming oversaturated with too many bands? So now only the ones that have enough money or stick out are actually going. Like if Motionless in White were to start now, do you think it would? Do you think it would just be, would you be lost in the oversaturated market, or would you actually stand out? And it's just, that's stuff, I don't know. That's something I just think about all the time with social media. Like these bands that are big now that got big, back in, the MySpace era when it was less saturated, how would they weather now?
I yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of bands today wouldn't be where they are without social media. I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird because I think that if you were right on the cusp of the wave of, Facebook and MySpace and Instagram, social media did well for you. Now there's so many bands, so many everything really. I mean, it's not just bands, it's fucking photographers, it's fucking actors, it's models, it's just personalities in general. It's everybody has been every market has been so oversaturated that unless you have some crazy following already, I think it's extremely hard for a new person to break out of that and become some, big crazy thing. So yeah, I think that that's a major downside to social media now. It's just where does it go next?
It's just weird to even think that, you know, good looking teenagers can get, sponsorships and, millions of dollars just from being good looking and having a Instagram account with 1 million followers. Whole careers are made just from YouTube, just from Instagram, just from, even Twitch, like people streaming, you know, it's people have made whole careers and so much money off of that. And that's just so weird. It's so weird to think that like that's a thing that can happen in like our day and age.
I think that now is the perfect time for that to happen. I mean, I couldn't think of a better time in history for somebody to make a living off of playing video games.
Oh,
It's
of
just
course.
now is the perfect time for that to happen. It was bound to happen. It's just what's next? Is there going to be a point where it becomes so oversaturated that there's just nothing new? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, how do you weed your way through all of these things? If you let's say you like fucking, I don't know. Let's say you like pop punk. Okay, how do you weed through the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the fucking labels and all of these things that are so concentrated with all of these different artists and bands that are something that you would like? How do you pick what one you want to listen to?
Yeah, I mean, as weird as it sounds, it's almost like for me personally, I I can't weed through all that. Like I will it's almost like that I'm discovering music now the way it used to be discovered. Like if a friend plays a track and I'm like, "Oh, this is really good. Who is this?" They tell me. Then I
Yeah.
go and look them up and listen to them. Or even, I don't listen to that many new bands. So even like this summer, I would walk around and like there were a few bands I would stop and watch and be like, wow, this band is really good. And then I'd start getting into them.
Hmm.
So it's like, it's almost like now that the market is so oversaturated and there's so many bands, they're just like, check this out, check this out. We sound like this, we sound like that. And it's like, okay, that's what everybody says. I don't want to just go and look at it, on YouTube or watch a music video on YouTube of a band I don't know. If I hear a song and I think it's good, I'll listen to it. But I just find myself listening to the same music I've been listening to for, the past, 8 years, even longer.
Yeah.
just with like a couple new tracks thrown in or new artists that I'll listen to or have found. But, you know, a lot of it's just, on tour. It's like, I think, I don't remember how I got into Black Bear, but I want to say that it was like Ryan played a track and I started listening to him and got into it, or maybe it was before that. I don't know. But it's just stuff like, it's just that's almost where it is now. It's like, I'm not going online to look for new music. If I'm like, oh, I really want to listen to a new pop punk band, like I'm not going and trying to find new pop punk bands. Like I'm just listening to the same pop punk I've been listening to for, however long.
Yeah. It's really almost the same thing as the cable television dilemma, where you pay for DirecTV or Comcast or whatever, and you get 300 channels and you don't know what to pick. So
Yeah.
you just don't pick anything and you go, I don't know what to watch. Whereas
Yeah.
now
I mean,
there's Sling TV, there's Hulu TV, there's all these different things that are now kind of pick and choose subscriptions where you get, a handful of 15 or 20 channels that you really like. And I think that might become a more popular thing in the future, at least.
I think the world's just becoming more digital and everything. It's, now we're not doing cable anymore. We're doing YouTube or Netflix, like you were talking about. It's, yeah, just everything's becoming digital. You can do everything online. If I want to order groceries online and have them delivered to my house, I can, like you can literally do so much online. You can stay at home and have a whole career just online. I mean, the whole reason my career is good is because of online. It's because of social media. It's because I put my stuff out and it's gotten seen by the right people. And now I get hired on to take photos and videos full time. So it's like, there's new opportunities and new markets being opened up and a lot of markets being taken away. But we're just on the cusp and the start of just, quote in quotes, the future, the future that all of us have grown up in sci-fi movies to see, you know, it's it's coming true, it's happening right now.
I mean, for the most part, uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always thought there was going to be flying cars in 2020, but
Yeah.
uh, we're not even close to that yet. So,
I don't know how that would work realistically though.
what, flying cars?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be something like some sort of hover technology, I guess, or some sort of anti-gravity thing, which I fucking know we have.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying like I don't even know, like I bet we already have the technology to do something like that, but the logistics of it are too hard to figure out or they don't want to be figured out. And I don't even know how they would be figured out. Like, is there going to be, can you only hover you know, a certain height? Can you drive off course? Are the roads going to be magnetic so you only are able to drive on roads, not off road? Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, well, I think we already have the technology. I just don't think if we were to open it up to the public, if it would be something that could actually happen,
Well, and
what would need to happen, or what would need to be, what would need to happen for that to actually be realistic.
I think that another big part of it is, do the big gas companies want that to happen? Do they want electric cars and hover cars and all of these alternative power sources? Do they want that to come up and ruin their thing? I think
Of
that,
course not.
of course not. So I don't know why they wouldn't have. They probably have some sort of hand behind the scenes, making sure that this technology stays as slow as humanly possible until they can figure out a way to make their way into that technology themselves.
I think that's just how, with everything becoming so accessible, and I don't know, like I don't want to be that person. I don't want to get into that topic, but it's like the same thing as, pharmaceutical companies wanting to keep the war on drugs so heavy right now because they're going to lose out on business if certain things become legal, which they already have.
Yeah.
But it's, and I don't doubt, I'm also someone who might be a kook for believing this, but like, with as much technology and stuff we have, there has got to be a cure for these uncurable diseases that we apparently have. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I think that's bullshit. I think that there are cures for all these incurable diseases, but everyone's going to lose money because of it. And right now, it's all about a money game. It's all about who's going to make the most money. How can we keep our profits up? And getting sick is a huge moneymaker.
Yeah, the companies don't make money if you're healthy.
Exactly. So it's like you go to a doctor to get better, but that doctor still needs to get sick later on so they can take your money. So it's like, you know, cancer is $1 billion, $1 trillion industry. You think if they found a cure for that, they would just let it loose and be like, oh, you have this? Yep, here's a drop of this and you're fine. It's like, of course not. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of that, but because that's never ending. But yeah, it's the same thing. Everything's about money. To think the kind of things that we might be able to have or accomplish if it wasn't for corporations sticking their hands in things and being like, oh no, we can't do this because then we'll lose out on all this money. I just wonder what the world would be like if that wasn't an issue. If everyone actually was for the good of mankind instead of the good of
Lining their
their
pockets.
yeah, exactly. Which I mean is hypocritical in me to say because I just said that I don't care about politics at all. But
But I mean, you do to a certain degree. I mean, it's not like you just completely shun out all of these different things. You have some sort of thoughts about politics and about alternative medicine and all of these things. I mean, everyone does.
yeah, of course.
So you're not a one trick pony, Bryce.
Damn it. I was hoping I can get away with it. But yeah, I don't even remember where this conversation started. I don't even know how we got here.
I I don't either. We were talking about social media.
Oh yeah, that's right. See, that's where social media will lead you to talking about cancer. I don't know about you, but just for fun, sometimes I'll go on Facebook and click on the viral videos that are viral, whether it be like a police thing or race thing or just a dog, and every single time it's always someone saying something negative or someone being offended or someone. It's just it's alarming, honestly. Like, it's scary to look on Facebook and think that these people are posting this publicly and their Facebook accounts are right there. Their whole lives are right there attached to it. Like, it's weird. And then, but on the other hand, it's cool when shitty people get exposed. It's
Yeah.
always good to see, a Nazi or a racist or someone get exposed and have their, business shut down or, whatever else. But it's just weird times. It's just so weird. I just can't. Sometimes I just don't think it's real. Like you see all that stuff and you're like, this can't be real. And it is. And it's hard to process sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to 2018.
Yeah, it's only getting better.
I'm sure that
Only getting better.
I'm sure that it will only get better.
Of course. We're making America great again. So.
I mean, that whole thing that you just said is part of the reason why I uploaded the first episode of this podcast and I disabled the comments on YouTube because I don't want to go on there and see people arguing over shit that is completely irrelevant to what the video is.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is anymore.
Yeah. Everyone has. It's funny because I'll see, the other day I'm friends with a band guy's girlfriend on. I'm not going to say who, just for whatever reason, but like on Twitter, and I see people go off in like her comments and like they know about her life and saying, oh, like people asking like, oh, what happened between like you and so, or why is this happening? Like people go off in the comments and are telling these stories that are completely untrue and just completely like just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit post. And it's just like, you really think that you know these people because of what they post online. Like, and I think that's what's scary is that people feel so entitled now to have to like, oh, I know all about this, or I can speak on this, or I know this. And, you know, Joe Schmo who has a Twitter who looks on it can be like, wow, they're telling the truth. So it's like, doesn't matter what's true or what's false anymore. It matters how many people are replying to it or how many people are
Believing it.
retweeting it. Or yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of people that will post something online and then like about a band, for instance, and then the band member will comment on it or reply to it, and then it starts to get some traction, and that person will even post a rebuttal and say, oh, I know it's not true, it's just the internet, we're just joking around. And it's like, but people don't know that. And and so people just for fun just spew lies or made up bullshit, and then when it gets tracked, people think it's true. They don't say it's not true. They just go along with it. So it's like now we're just living in a world, like we're living in an online world where you don't know what's true or what's not. And people will, until they're blue in the face, think that they're right because they think that's actually what it is because, well, so and so said it. Or you know, it's like there's so much like security in what people say online that magazines and music publications will post those things and say, well, this is where we got our sources from. And it's like, that's just someone spewing nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people believe anything now. It's like, it's almost like the internet makes everyone gullible.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've seen people comment stuff or send me stuff on Instagram that is just the most asinine shit I've ever heard. And then I'll respond and I'll say, why do you think that? Or where did this come from? And they go, well, this person said it. Well, I never said that. So why would you think that's true?
It's weird, man. It's just these people, like I said, they think because you're in some sort of like position of power that they like know you, and it's just weird. It's weird that people can get crucified by one thing someone in power says. And it's like, holy shit, like we're literally living in that world where someone can snap their fingers and, you know, this person no longer has a TV show or this person no longer has a business. It's just like so weird how that can happen through like your phone.
Yeah, it's
You
wild.
you can ruin someone's life with nothing else but your thumb. You know, it's so weird.
And then the worst part about that is if you publicly respond to something that's not true, then you're a dick, or or other people attack you and say, that was fucking mean. Why'd you do that? And it's just,
Yeah, someone tells you to go fucking kill yourself, and you say no and block them. There's gonna be 20 people who are like, "Why'd you block them? You're such a dick. Like they were joking around."
yeah, it's fucking nuts, man. What? First of all, I would never tell somebody to go kill themselves just joking around because that's fucking stupid. Second of all, that and me blocking you because of that is just I don't want to see that. I don't want to see
Yeah.
bullshit on my page. And
Oh yeah.
people, dude, it's so fucking weird, man. It's just Ricky's a fucking asshole because he blocked me because I told him to kill himself. The best part is they don't say, well, I told him to kill himself. They said,
Yeah.
they just go, Ricky blocked me, and everyone just fucking flocks and just,
Hmm.
will you unblock my friend? No, because I don't want to see that person tell me to kill myself again. It's fucking not cool.
It's almost like it's almost like who you are as a person and how you're perceived is sometimes based on people you don't even know. They
Yeah.
just know you. Like there's probably a whole group of people who think you are actually an asshole and they don't know you. They just know of you from the band and what you project online, and they take that as who you actually are. So there probably are a bunch of people that are like, oh, well, so and so's a dick because they did this and this. Well, do you know that's true? Well, no, but a bunch of people are talking about it. And there's like, that happens with everybody in our scene. It's like, there's so many people that will constantly be like, oh, I heard so and so's a big dick. And I'm like, well, no. I know them. They're not. Where'd you hear that? Well, it's all over, everyone talks about it and this and that. I'm like, so you are going around spewing hatred for someone that you don't actually know. You just know of them. And it's just like, that's how everything is now. I hear so much about other people that I've never met before. And so by the time you meet them, you kind of already have like a mild, like, oh, okay, well, I've heard this person's dick, so they probably are. And then it's like, well, they're nothing like that. And it's like, I guess that's life, though. I guess that's just you're going to find that in everything.
Well, I think a big part of that is that these people put together this imagined persona of who they think these people are, whether it be me or anybody else, either through interviews or just other random YouTube videos or meeting me in person for a split second. And they just create who they think I am based on these split second encounters, and they don't know me or anybody else as a person. So it's just crazy. I don't understand how you can make a solid judgment on one person based on, oh, well, I saw an interview, one time, and I know how that person is.
Yeah,
But that's how it is now.
it is. Yeah. I mean, it's so quick to just write someone off or give them all of your attention. It's almost like there's not even like, any sort of, what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's not even like any first impressions anymore. First impressions would always be in person. Now it's like someone can judge you or like you based off the last thing you posted or commented on or liked. And it's like, that's crazy to me that another person can just completely write you off just solely based off of the last thing you posted, which, I mean, I'm guilty of that too, but it's just the whole social media age is just so funny. It's now super impersonable, like you're not going out and meeting these people anymore. You're joining a Facebook group with them so you can all discuss things. It's like, let's just get together.
Yeah, just fucking go meet up as friends and go have a beer,
Let's go have a glass of wine, Rick. Let's get a
Yeah.
glass. Let's get a bottle of wine. We'll have a glass.
We'll have a glass of wine and talk about the world.
I mean, yeah. I don't have any wine right now, but that's what we've been doing. Yeah, it's just a weird, it's just a weird. The way things are becoming is so weird, and it's like it's funny to like talk to my parents and see how things used to be like when they were growing up, and it's just like it must be super weird for them to see everything going on if they can even comprehend it, because I don't even comprehend a lot of things that are going on, and I didn't grow up in it, but I've been in it longer than I haven't been.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, yeah, it's just, I wonder what people feel like now when there's any sort of like confrontation and your phone's in your hand, or, you're recording everything, or people are, doing, dumb stunts and things just to get views online so they can, go buy a new pair of sneakers or something. It's just, it's weird. I just wonder how other people view it. Cause I mean, it's weird for me. I can't even imagine how weird it must be for people who, like, my dad doesn't understand. Like, my dad just got into YouTube, like just discovered YouTube was a thing. So
Just now.
yeah, like in the past couple of months.
Wow.
So yeah, he's like not tech savvy whatsoever, but it's just hard to like explain to him, like, yeah, people can, make money off of jumping off of things and just climbing buildings and if they get 1 million views, they get a certain amount of money. And it's just like that. He can't even comprehend that. It's just it's mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, our parents came from an age where you had to work for everything, and now you can just fucking jump headfirst off a building and break your neck and live and make $1 million.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's just weird. It's yeah, and I think that's a big reason why everyone thinks that we, not so much we, I guess, yeah, millennials are included in it, but like how everyone just assumes that like we expect everything to be handed to us. And it's just like, no, it's just easier now.
Yeah.
Like I make a living touring with bands and taking their photos. and that's all I do. You know, it's like, that's crazy for some people to like think that.
Yeah.
It's crazy for me. I can't believe it. That's my life either, but that's pretty cool. I'm here for it.
I mean, it's something that you always wanted to do. So,
Yeah. And I think speaking on that, I think not approaching, we're already living in the age of people are more wanting to follow their dreams now than they ever have been because they see it's actually obtainable. If you wanted to play music, you know, in the 40s, 50s, it's not obtainable to you because the only thing you have are, you can listen to them on the radio or read books about them or maybe magazines. Like now it's like if I want to start a band, I can just post something online and get people together, and we have enough money, we can go record, we can go get physical copies and go pass them out at shows and play shows.
I mean,
It's
you don't even have to do that anymore. I mean, there's CDs aren't even a thing anymore almost.
yeah, you're right, they're not.
But I mean, going off of that, even if you had a friend that was computer savvy and knew how to record, you just record your whole EP on your own.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
it's so much easier now than it ever has been, which is awesome. I think that that's great, but it's also really disheartening to see how easy some of these things can be for people now as opposed to how they were, and have people still be complaining about it.
Yeah. Well, you're never gonna appease everybody. Never.
I mean, no, but at some point you have to just go, dude, do you realize how fucking easy you have it? Do you realize how impossible this situation would have been 30 years ago? Because you wouldn't be anywhere near, you haven't done anything and you wouldn't be anywhere near where you are now 30 years ago.
Yeah. But it's a very much like I want it now. Like I want success now. I want to be famous now. Like I don't want to have to build a plan around me being big in 5 years. I want to be big right now. Why can't I be like that Instagram kid that had 15 followers last week, but now has 1 million followers because so and so passed on his work or, whatever else. Like, I mean, we are in a very selfish time period right now where it's like that, where everyone wants it now and they want it. They don't want to have to work for it, or they don't even realize that, like you were saying back then, it was super hard to do what now someone can do in their bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you think that part of that mindset, though, is seeing all these other people on social media succeed in doing what they want to do?
100%. People see how easy. Dude, that's why there's so many people now just trying to just copy what these big people are doing. Like people see success online and they think, "Wow, he did that all from his bedroom, so I can do that." And but I'm doing the same thing he's doing. Why am I not getting the traction he's getting? Why? They just see how easy it is. They see, well, no, not necessarily how easy it is, but they want they want to obtain it. They want that level. Like they see someone flaunting about everything they have, or yo, I got this record deal, or I got this platinum record, and everything was made in this bedroom. And people are like, oh, I can do that too. So then they start doing it. But then when they don't get the results because they don't actually know what it is to work hard, they just see. That's the thing about social media is you only see what people want you to see. Like
Absolutely.
I can post about oh, here's all these great videos, or here's how great my life is, or look at all this money I have. But then obviously those people aren't going to post like when they were broke or when they couldn't afford something or when this shitty thing happened to them. Like they're only posting about the good times. So you're only seeing everything good happening in someone's life.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the bad. So when people see that and they're like, oh my God, this is so obtainable, like I'm going to do that. And then it doesn't work, or it works out exactly the way it's supposed to, but there's also hard, like there's, you can't have good times without hard times. So when the hard times come, they don't fucking know why that's happening because they're like, well, so and so didn't post about this. Like, how am I supposed to get over this? And then, I think that's where all of that starts, where the entitled starts, and where people just think like, no, I want everything they have. It's like, well, you still have to work for it. You don't see all the work. That's why people all the time, I get messages all the time. It's like, hey, can I go on tour with you? Or hey, how did you get on tour with Motionless in White? Or how did you do this? And it's just like, I worked hard. And it's hard to say to someone. They're like, well, I just don't get any tours. I don't know why people won't take me on tour. Well, are you actively doing, A, B, C, and D? Well, no. Okay, then what? Like, you just expect to just like do this, or even I'm sure it's with the same thing with bands. It's like bands are like, I don't understand why I'm not playing on Warped Tour, or why am I not on tour with Motionless in White? It's like, well, have you done any of these things that you need to even maybe be considered to like do something of that caliber? No. Okay, then what did you expect? Like, people just think like, okay, well, we recorded this, it sounds good, like, let's do it. Well, it doesn't work like that. And people don't understand that.
I get that all the time from people that want to start bands, and I think that when they ask, how do I do what you're doing? I think that they expect an immediate, here it is button, you press the button and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and it's hard for me because I don't want to discourage them from, if that's their dream to do that, I want that person to pursue that to the be all end all that they can. I just don't want to say something that's going to discourage them. And I don't know. A part of me, it's conflicting because I want to tell them the truth. I want to say, dude, it's fucking hard and you're going to want to give up, and you probably will a couple times. But, if you stick with it, you'll probably get there. I don't want to say that. I want to say, well, if you do this and you do this and you do this, then, and I want to make it sound easy because that's what they want. And I want to give that person what they want. So it's hard. It's a hard spot to be in.
Yeah, I've definitely discouraged some people for sure when, they do. They just think it's, well, who do I have to email? It's like, well, it's like, it's not like, here's who you can email. I was like, but you're not going to get anywhere. Like, and here's why. And then when you explain to them that it is like, people just think that like, oh, well, I shot one of their shows and they liked me, so I went on tour, because someone's story is like that. Someone's story is that they went to a show, shot a band, became friends with them, and then went on tour with them. Some people can tour for 1 year, and next thing you know, they're touring, in arenas with a band. Like, that's cool. That's not how it happened for me. So I'm going to tell people what I did. And a lot of people get super bummed when they're like, oh, so you've been doing this for like that long? And I was like, well, that's not that long. I was like, but when I was in school, I spent all my time driving to cities to go shoot these bands. I was like, it didn't just happen overnight. Like, I've been working, I've paid my dues, like, and you have to do the same. Like, it's not just like, oh, you can shoot photos like this and you're going to be on a bus tour. It's like, no, I did years in the van. Like, I've done every other job on the road. Like, it's hard to be just a photo video person on the road. It's becoming easier because more bands are now like, well, we need this. We need to have someone constantly documenting our stuff. But 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. 5 years ago, it was still like only big bands had photographers. Now it's like any band can have a photographer. I feel like too many people want to live this lifestyle and tour, but they don't understand what it actually takes. Like, they don't understand that you're going to be tired because you're not sleeping that much, or you're living with the same people for months on end. You're going to get tired of each other at one point. Like, you're not going to want to enjoy being around everybody at the same point. Especially on Warped Tour, it's like you're in the sun all day, every day. Even if you're a band, that does nothing but sign and play, like, you're still in the sun. Like, people get tired. People are going to say shitty things. Like, I don't know. I got halfway into that. Didn't really want to say what I wanted to say. So
Well,
it was kind of mean.
It just goes back to people not understanding the real reality of how things work, and how much work actually does go into things that seem so easy when you're looking at it from an outside perspective. I mean, people don't see all of the work that you put in before you became Bryce Hall, the photographer. They just see you as that, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sucks to see people that get the perception of what it. I mean, I guess it's for everyone because I had a perception of what tour would be like as well. And then when I went on my first tour, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this isn't like anything like I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
And because people don't understand how tough it is to be on the road, sometimes they think it goes back to what we were talking about because we all post the fun times.
Yep.
We all post all the fun stuff that we do, all the times we're having like all the good photos, all the good videos, maybe some like drunken nights and like they see all the fun and they don't see all the times where you're alone and kind of just want to go home because you just don't want to be there, or the hours you just sit in the green room and don't do anything, or the stupid fights you have with people just because you've been around each other for weeks at a time and now someone chewing too loud is pissing you off and you want to fight somebody. like
Yeah.
they don't see that.
I mean, and why would they though? They're not gonna. I feel like people would be weirded out at this point if you posted something about, I had an argument with so and so today because of this. People don't want to see that. That's the other thing is you don't show that, but people also don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's true.
it's just a weird kind of societal thing where it's almost frowned upon to post things that aren't good or aren't something that's happy and uplifting and whatever. And the people that do post things that may or may not be serious in a bad way get fucking reamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it comes across as very cringy. I mean, either way, but it's just weird how I guess society just determines this is what people should see. This is what people should think is cool. This is what we shouldn't think is cool. Don't post that because, people aren't going to think that you're cool if you post that or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
It's weird, man. Isn't it's just weird how there's like feels like there's like an overhanging like someone watching you that you're like, oh, I have to impress this person. Like I have to like it's almost like the mass of everybody comes together as like one person and you're almost like, well, I have to look cool, but you're not really looking cool for anybody. But you
Yeah.
think you have to, or you think you have to only do this because you don't actually know why. Like you don't know why you think like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to like try to fit in with other people? And it's just like no one really knows why. It's just like a thing that everybody does and everybody has been doing their entire life.
It kind of reminds me of some weird Black Mirror thing. There's this eye just watching you. You don't know where it is, but it's there and it's going to make sure that you don't fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I just think it's just weird to see people that like and like we're both guilty of it too, but it's just trying to appease people and trying to post the right things or do the things that people think, oh, I don't want people to look at me weird or think I'm weird for doing this, so I just do it. Even when you rebel and say like I'm so anti that, you still are doing it to one point or the other, whether it's now your new group of friends you have or the new thing that you're doing, or it's just you have this constant like stress almost of like, I have to do good or I have to look good or I have to impress these people. And it's like, even though no matter what you say of like, well, yeah, I don't give a shit about anybody but myself. It's like, you still in the back of your head have that like, oh, well, what do they think about this? Or like, it's it is like a Black Mirror episode for sure. It's like you're always aiming to appease someone that you don't actually know or see. You just know they're there.
Yep. It's funny because I always hear people say, man, what kind of Black Mirror episode would be realistic? This fucking thing. This is realistic because it's actually happening right now.
Oh yeah. It's very weird, but I think that's just how everyone has been conditioned like forever. Like so why I think a lot of things are the way that they are. It's like it's just since you were born, this is what your parents knew, so they're teaching you what they know, and so you think the sky is blue because you've been told your whole life the sky is blue, and you know that color is blue because that's what you've grown up to believe is that is blue. And I think like our parents' insecurities and our parents, not necessarily problems, but maybe, social stigmas, they get passed down to us because they still have like they still show those, their weaknesses, and we as children see that, and we see everybody else around us doing the exact same thing. So it's almost like from the second we're able to have a conscious mind, we know that, well, I have to look good for this person, or I have to dress up to, these people, or, the whole reason you're in school is so you can go and get a good job to impress your parents or impress your parents' friends, to show that you didn't actually fuck up. It's just this weird cycle that I don't think is ever going to end, because especially now with social media coming out, where now people get instant gratification from their phone screens or from posting a picture of themselves. They can post a picture of themselves and have however many people say, "Oh, you're gorgeous," or "Oh, you look so good," or like your post. And now you can make up your own imagination of what you're going to look at that as. It's it's just, I think it's a never ending cycle. And I think I think everyone has felt this way. I think if, like, talk to my parents and ask, or talk to your parents or whoever, and just, you know, ask them how they felt that way growing up, I'm sure they're going to say the exact same thing, even though there wasn't social media. So now it's just even more. It's more exaggerated now, because now we have a place at our fingertips that we can feel appreciated by the posing of a picture, or by a certain status, or by anything really. It's the ultimate Black Mirror episode that will never end, because it's just passed down.
Do you think that that's why mental health has been suppressed for such a long time?
I think that, like a lot of things with now the social media and internet age coming in, I feel like when people felt the way they did, when they felt different, there was such a stigma around it with books, TV, anything else. If you feel this type of way, you're crazy, or you're not normal. And before the internet was around, to not be normal, you had to fake it if you weren't normal.
Yeah.
Like, you did not want to be the non-normal person. But now that the internet has connected everybody in the world together, that you're not alone if you feel a certain type of way. I think that's the same way with everything. I think mental health is becoming such a bigger thing because people see that they're not alone in the way they feel. But I feel like that's the same way with everything. Though, I mean, that's why, more people are coming out. I feel like that's why more people are, living alternative lifestyles, because before they saw that as being weird, and they saw that as non-normal. And now when they see that there's a huge group of people that are like that in the same way they are, they don't feel weird anymore. They feel like they have someone to back them up. Like, mom and dad, I'm not different. Or, you or your social norms, like, other people feel the same way I do. I'm not the weird one here. It's good that people can come together and not and know that they feel the same way as someone else does.
Yeah.
And I
And I
think
agree
that,
with that.
and I think that's the best part of the internet coming together, is it's connecting people in a way that, unless you saw it on TV, you would have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's definitely that's one way that I think the internet has completely changed the world, is just being able to connect, like you said, just people that have, interests that may or may not be, I guess, quote unquote, acceptable, or things that might be taboo to some people. But now all of a sudden they have this way to connect with other people that feel the same way. And I think that inherently people just don't want to feel alone. And that's human nature. I read a thing about how people inherently want to fit in regardless of what is happening with the group. If there's a group of 50 people and one person's on the outskirt of those 50 people, that person, no matter what, will do whatever it has to fit in with the herd.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's what, like I said, it's just human nature. I feel like you don't want to be alone. You don't want to feel like the outcast.
And it's a survival mechanism. I think that it's just something that's been around for, ever since people have existed. because there's always been that inherent, if I stick with people, I will survive.
Hmm.
And we're living in an age now where we see the effects of that in such a weird, strange, warped way, and it's just fucked.
I mean, yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it just has a lot to do with, like I was saying, I feel like social media just enhances it so much more because now you can see, like, even if you're the loner, you see all these people posting the best times they've had with groups of people or with people like them, or even people that, you know, go to raves or go to your shows or go to pop punk shows. They all are like wearing the same clothes, and people feel like they need that, even though it was a one time interaction that they might not even know each other again. They
Hmm.
want to have, they want to have unattainable goals because everything posted online is looked at higher than it actually is. You know, when we post a photo or something from, wherever, from like a group photo or something that we took, which was literally a quick 30-second thing. We had to yell at everyone to get involved. Everyone got in, smiled, and then we all literally dispersed in 5 seconds. People see that and think, oh my God, they're all hanging out together. They're all the best friends, or all this, or all that. And it's like that moment must be perfect. And it's like you only see
The
the
snapshot.
literal, the literal snapshot of what happened. You don't know anything else that went on with that. So people want to achieve what isn't actually real, or what is real but is just so fabricated.
There's just so much to be said for the fact that people only post what they want people to see. I feel like people forget that other people that exist, myself, you, anybody else in the world included, are human beings. We all have emotions. We all feel our ups and downs, as you said previously. But I don't think I can stress enough how much people will censor what they put online, because I have personally seen grown men cry because they want to go home and they're tired and they miss everything about being home. But you never see those things because that person's going to only post the highs from the tour, because that's all that matters, the highs. And that's, I feel like it it's fine, I guess, but in a way it makes people think that that is all there is to that life, no matter what you're doing.
Oh yeah, that's the fucking truth, man. Like, people, and I think that's what, I think we've said this before, but just in a different way. But I just feel like that's why people have such a hard time dealing with hard times, because they don't see anybody else going through that, because no one else posts that. Especially if you're someone who lives their entire life online and all their interactions with other people are online. I mean, yeah, there's some people that will post and say everything bad that happens to them or talk about their tough times, but majority of people don't. So
Yeah.
if you're following 100 people that are all influencers to you, chances are none of them are going to post anything bad that happens to them. So when something bad happens to you, you don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't know what to think. You don't know how to react. You don't know who to talk to, because everyone that you do talk to or everyone that you do interact with doesn't have these problems. So it goes back to, like, you feel alone.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It's just so weird because with everyone being so connected now, people are only so are connected on only so many levels. Like you have the biggest support system ever at your fingertips, and and there's still a threshold you can't break.
It must be crazy for people that have millions of followers that, like you said, could just, at the tips of their thumbs, they could just have all of these people do whatever they want. But at the same time, that person can go home at night and feel the most empty hell they've ever felt.
I think that's true with a lot of people in positions of importance. I feel like they, especially those types of people, especially those, I don't personally know. And, well, I do know a few, but I don't know anyone that has, like, millions and millions of, subscribers and all this. But people that I do know that are popular online, they all say the same thing. It's like, yeah, well, I'm just kind of, at home, not doing anything. but you're so and so. You should be like doing all this fun shit. And you have so much money, and it's just like, I mean, my one buddy who does YouTube, he was like, yeah, I made like $300,000 last year, but I'm just sitting at my house and I don't know what to do with the money. And I'm just like, holy shit! Like, you could literally have not everything, but what people what people in their head picture as success is money, and you
Hmm.
can still have all the success and money and millions of viewers and subscribers, and getting all this traction, and but you're still just alone, and you're still just like not happy because you picture it to be a certain way because you see online all these people that have millions of followers are all going on these vacations and having all these parties and living this luxurious life when they want to post that. And that's just a snapshot again of what happens. It's like when people think the rock star life is so awesome. Yeah, on stage, oh, backstage, drinking, partying, having a fun time. And it's like, yeah, but I spend more time in my bunk or in the front lounge by myself than I do partying with people or going out and having the same party nights at bar. It's just same thing with those people is they see everyone's success of like, oh, these are how famous YouTubers live. And then they get to that point because it's all they wanted, and they realize, oh, a lot of this is, smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
So but again, it's what people have done forever. I mean, if you were to talk to someone 30 years ago that was a famous actor or actress and you got a real conversation with them, I'm sure they'd say the same thing.
I'm sure.
It's why you see these people have these meltdowns who are in the spotlight, and people think, oh my God, they're having these like, they're crazy. And it's like, no, they're just human, and you push them too far. Like, everyone has a tipping point. Like, especially if you sneeze and there's a news story about it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what that life must be like.
It's, I mean, I can imagine it's like something that you always want, but you have it and you're like, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
It has to be. Like, I just can't imagine. It's just so weird that people are so obsessed with that. Like, people are so obsessed with like celebrities and all these famous people. And it's just like, why? Like, do you want their life so bad, or do you just, it's fascinating to me that people will like freak out over people of power and importance. And it's just like, I can understand for like a band, like I understand a little bit of it. Like seeing someone like that you listen to their music growing up and you're like, you were a huge influence on what I do now. But it's like the huge fascination with like actors is just it. I don't know. I don't quite understand it.
I have no idea. I'm sure that there's something to it because otherwise there wouldn't be multiple magazines, doing paparazzi shit with huge musicians and pop artists and actors and actresses and all these people, and there's fucking TV shows and shit about all these people. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I just don't get it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I just don't understand it. Like, I'm just very much someone, if I saw someone famous in the airport or something, I would probably just leave them alone. Like I don't know. It's something to me where I'm just like, I think it just goes back to just feeding, especially in nowadays, it's just like feeding an ego. It's like, oh shit, there's someone that's important. If I go and get a photo with them and post it, I bet you this will get X amount of likes, or I bet this will go viral. And it's just like it's just people constantly looking for, because very rarely do people ever meet famous people, and then you're sitting at their house one day and they're like, oh yeah, there's this time I met so and so, like picture frame, like a frame picture, and that's the only place it ever is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people do that so they can turn right around and post about it online.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
that's the thing is why? What purpose does that serve other than just attention from other people? I mean, is that
that's all it is. It's instant gratification. You want that second for people to feel envious of you. You want to feel in some kind of position of power, like, huh, I'm a little better because I got a picture with Nicolas
so
Cage at the airport, like
of all people, Nicolas Cage?
I've been watching a lot of Nick Cage movies lately, so yeah, it's the whole it's just, everyone's about ego now, whether they mean to or not. It's just about feeding a non-existent thing.
Where does the instant gratification come from?
I just think people interacting and people caring. I think posting something and seeing that people are liking it and people that you know are liking it. So you're like, instead of telling your friend about something cool that happened, you're now waiting for them to just like your posts. You're like, okay, they saw it. Like, okay, they know that this just happened to me. You know,
Yeah.
they they must think I'm cool. Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's that. I think it's that. I think that's what the instant gratification is. I think it's just people knowing that other people care about what they're doing.
So weird. I don't even have anything to say to that because it's just such a weird concept.
It is. It's yeah. It's fucking weird, dude. I don't fucking get it.
It's life in 2018.
Life in 2018. I always wonder if people have always thought that life is like we say like, oh, this is life in here and it's fucking weird. But I wonder if every generation always says the same thing of like, well, it's 1940, weird times we're living in. Oh, it's 1990, weird times we're living in. You know what I mean? I'm like, I wonder if if we just constantly think we're living in fucked up weird times.
I don't know. I'm sure that that's probably real because I'm sure that people in 1900s said 1910. Weird. We have driving cars now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it must be weird, but I think it goes back to just like everything's still growing. Like we as a community, we as a species, like we as just individual humans, like we're just constantly learning and growing. And uh, yeah,
You know what's
yeah,
really wild to think about is I read an article a couple days ago that talked about how apes now in our lifetime are have just entered the Stone Age. So in however many million years, those apes will now be humans like us today.
really.
How fucking weird is that?
That's that's so weird. So are they basing that off of like watching them in the wild and seeing what they're doing?
From my understanding, I think it's yes, I think it's them observing how they're interacting and creating and forming tools and all these weird things that they're doing that I guess has been documented as us been doing years ago.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to think that when they are at a point that we're at now, where will we be? And are we the front runners?
I don't know. And
Like,
that just
like,
think
like
about if when we were in the Stone Age, who was in front of us?
that's what I'm saying. Like, are we the front runners of all this?
I,
Like,
I don't know.
it's
That
weird to think about.
that just goes into, well, maybe there was a previous species that was maybe more advanced. Maybe there is some credit to the story of Atlantis. And who knows, man? I don't know.
That's what I'm always so curious about all of that. Like Atlantis, higher species, lifetimes before us. It's interesting, and I always get on the weirdest conversations with people about it. But it's just I just always wonder, like that's what like if I'm able like when I die, like I don't know what goes on after death, but I hope I just suddenly have an understanding of knowledge of the world or can ask questions and find answers to things because there's so many things I just want to know, like get an honest, real answer for, like if Atlantis was a real thing or what actually happened, or is there actually a center of the earth, that has other beings living there that we'll never know,
Yeah.
but it's just interesting. It's interesting to have met so many people over the years that have like so many different like thoughts or opinions or beliefs on like, what's out there. Is the earth flat? Is it round? Is there actually a huge like, because I've met people who can try to convince me front and back that the earth is flat, and given a ton of like accounts and whatever else. It's just funny to think like, after all that, even like the whole like, is there an actual God? And if it is a God, which God is it? Out of the hundreds there are, like, which one is the actual right one? It's just like stuff like that I would want to actually know the answer to. And I guess that's what everyone kind of seeks. Does everyone seek truth or understanding of the world they live in, or is that the beauty of living, is that you'll never truly know what like the purpose or what life was about or anything like that.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why people have all of these different thoughts and opinions. I mean, I guess the pursuit of happiness is partially that. I mean, people want something to look for in life and to find meaning in what we're doing here, and why we're living and doing all of these things that we're doing throughout our whole lives. What does it all mean? Why are we here? And I guess just through trying to figure all that out, people have opinions about, what all of these other things outside, whether it be, you know, other dimensions or uh, extraterrestrial beings or anything like that, how all of those things fit into the puzzle piece that is our daily existence. How do those
Hmm.
things, I think that people like to entertain the idea that there's something more than what we know. And I think that that's just human nature.
Hmm. Yeah, because that's always what I've thought is like, is any of that even true? And if it's not, then where did that even come from? Or a big thing too is like, is the government actually on our side, or are they not? And I don't know if those questions will ever be answered, but there's so many things of like, oh, did this actually happen? Did that actually happen? It was for this is a hoax, or that's a conspiracy theory, or whatever else. It's just like, I would want to know like at one point if like what was actually true or not, but whether you find that out, I guess no one will really know.
I don't know if we'll find out things like that in our lifetime, but I feel like there's probably a good chance that it will come out eventually somewhere along the
Hmm.
line.
Yeah,
As far as everything else, I don't know.
it's just interesting to think about, and you can get lost in thinking about it, but I don't know. It's just like it's just interesting. It's just interesting to know that that could be a possibility of something that happens. Like you were saying, like other dimensions, there are extraterrestrial beings, or it's interesting to know if that stuff's actually true, or if it's just sci-fi fantasy that people have built up that might be true, and actually none of it is true. So I don't know.
But then that kind of goes back to what you were saying before is where did all those things come from?
Yeah,
If no one had ever seen an alien before, they're not just going to go, I saw this thing and just make it up. I just feel like that's just not realistic.
yeah,
I
yeah.
almost
But I mean, that can go back. I mean, that could also, I don't know. You say that, and then it's like, well, there's also the Bible, and did they make all of that up? Or is that actually truth? And it's, yeah, that's those are the things I guess that we'll just never know. There's things that we can believe in. We can say, yeah, I believe in this, or yeah, I believe in that, but I guess until we find out if there is anything after death, if you do get a knowledge of everything or able to ask questions, or you go to hell, or whatever there is, I guess we won't know until that point, because I guess everything up until now is speculation, unless there was at some event that happened that just told everyone what happened. But even at that, do you believe that? It's so again, I'm blabbling, but it's
it just all comes
yeah.
down to personal beliefs. I mean, if I think a lot of it comes from like we were talking about before. your parents and what they kind of instill in you as a child, and then your experience growing up beyond that and how you kind of expand your horizons. I mean, my parents grew up very Christian, and I was raised Christian when I was a young kid, and then as I started getting older, I started kind of questioning why things were the way they were, and why doesn't this add up, and if this is real, then why does this happen? And all of those things kind of led me on this quest toward what I now believe, which I don't even know if I can explain it all. But I think that that quest is important for people. I think that if you don't go through that, I think that you inherently feel like you're missing something in life. I feel like there's a hole that you might feel that is never fulfilled because you never kind of confronted the idea that death is a thing. You're going to have to do it alone. And how do I cope with that? Whether it be religion, if that makes you feel better, cool. If you don't believe in that and you find some other way to cope with it, that's cool too.
I feel like people need something to believe in. I feel like that's a big reason why religion is so heavy. How why religion has been so heavy. My entire life. Apparently, my parents' entire life. I just think it's. I don't know whether it's people can't people can't like sit there and accept the fact that we are humans living here, and it might be as simple as that. I think people have to think, they have to believe in something. And I think a lot of it is to take the burden off of death and to find a grieving cope, to, to find something that helps them grieve. Because I feel like people don't deal with death the right way. And it's even like, I'm not gonna say the right way. I guess there's no right way to deal with death, but I feel like when someone dies, instead of just believing like, well, that's it, I feel like people need something to be like, well, at least I'll see them again, or at least they're in a better place, or at
Yeah.
least I know that my God's watching out for them. And I know that I'll see them because God's going to take me too. And it's just like you believe in these things because at the end of the day, you want to go to heaven. You don't want to go to hell. You want to live the joyous afterlife, and that's what stems from all of this. Well, I have to live a good life because I don't want to go to hell. You don't even know if that's a thing. You don't even know if that's true. This is all something that you have just put your faith in because you don't want to just think that when you die, there's nothing there, or you can't cope with the fact that we might just be here from evolution, and we might just be things that live here, live, and then die. You have to think that there's a bigger plan for everything. And no one will ever know if there is until you die, which is the ironic part. You live your whole life believing in something and worshiping something so that when you die, things are better, but only you won't find out until you die. So
That's some kind of sick joke.
it's the ultimate sick joke.
That's some dude's fucked up idea of, hey, let's instill this consciousness into these beings and let them search for meaning and stuff, but really they're not going to find out until they die. And even then there's just nothing, so it's just going to be funny.
Yeah,
That's
like
fucked up.
no, really, like it is, and I never really thought about it that way until I just said it out loud now. But yeah, it is. It's a little fucked up, but I just think people need something to believe in because even like because when I came out, like it definitely like my mom definitely she loves me more than she loves her faith. So that was very conflicting with her
I'm sure.
because she's like, well, I've been believing this thing my whole life, but now that you are saying this, and then I kind of gave her my rundown on what my beliefs were because I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to Catholic school, and then when I got out, it was kind of like, whoa, there's a world outside of the bubble they put you in,
Hmm.
and explaining that to her and talking to her about that has definitely made her question her beliefs, but she still needs I feel like she still needs to believe in something. And it's very conflicting for her because she wants to believe in this God that she has grown up believing, but now that her own son is questioning that, or making her question that, I just think she doesn't really know where to go with that. And that's not a bad thing. I just think that's how a lot of people are now. I feel like a lot of people are getting their minds opened up, and because they're on the internet, because they're seeing what people are saying and saying, oh, well, maybe I only believe this because this is what I've believed my whole life. Maybe I don't have any reason behind why I feel this way or why I believe in this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because it's what my parents have told me growing up, or what my church or what the people that are in my family were telling me. I mean, I think that all stems from that. I think everyone's just, they believe the things they believe because that's how they were raised to believe them.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with believing in whatever you feel comfortable believing in at all. I guess just seeing different people flock to different beliefs because of things that they have seen or because they've been told, or just whatever. It's just interesting to see where people put their belief systems in and why, and it just goes back to the search for meaning and why we're here and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I don't want that to be seen as like me being very anti-religion. I'm all for anyone believing whatever they want to believe in, because I don't even know, because I could be wrong. I could be spewing this and saying like, oh, people just need to believe in something, when in reality maybe it's been right the whole time, and
Yeah.
I'm the one that steered away. So you never know, and I'm not taking that away from anybody. I have my personal beliefs, and that's all that really matters to me, because it's what I believe in.
Yeah. And
And if someone else wants to believe in something completely different, that's cool, as long as you're not, you know, that's the thing. It's like, I don't have a problem with anyone's religion unless they are trying to like physically hurt me, you know,
yeah.
like unless someone's chasing me with a knife saying, I'm going to kill you because you're going to go to hell, then it's like, okay, I have a problem with what you believe
Yeah.
in. But like anything else, it's like, it, you believe in whatever you want to believe in, whether it's fucked up, whether it's normal, whether it's whatever you need to live your life, you go ahead and do it. You just need to be open to other people doing the exact same thing.
That's why there's such a hard, or I guess religion is such a hard topic, because it's something that you hold so close to you that when somebody says something that completely kind of pushes you off kilter a little bit, it throws your whole belief system out of whack. And that, I think that's why it's so offensive when people talk about religion, and that's why one of the three things that you're not supposed to talk about in public is religion, because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought about it that way. But yeah, I mean, people also don't want to feel wrong. I feel like a lot of people aren't open to knowing that they could be wrong about something. And that's why, you see that. I mean, that's why all the time, like, you see fights and confrontations over something that could be very easily solved if both parties were just like, yeah, you know what, I fucked up or you fucked up or whatever, everything's good, or take personal responsibility. But there's almost like, you don't ever want to be in the wrong with something, so you'll fight it and act like this didn't actually happen to you until you're blue in the face about it. Same thing with religion, is people could be open to new experiences, and for the majority of people, instead of just saying like, oh yeah, totally, like I could be, completely backwards in my train of thought or thinking, instead they're like, no, they're going to defend it until they're blue in the face, because that's what they don't want to feel wrong.
Yep.
So just goes back to just people. I don't know, people are just people.
I feel like this whole conversation has just been one giant circle of points.
It has been. We've definitely stayed. We're definitely staying in one area. But yeah, everything comes back around. Everything's coming to a circle. But I mean, no. But this is like you said, like, you just wanted this podcast to be us having a conversation, and I feel like this is the exact conversation we need to have if we were just sitting in the green room,
Yeah.
like hanging out, not doing anything. Like, this would
Exactly.
be what we talk about. And it goes back to, I hate having to like watch what I say, because I don't want to come across as being like a complete dickhead in certain things. But I guess that's the one bad part about and we talked about this already, but this is the one bad part about doing stuff like this is like you can talk open, but people will pick one little audio clip and just crucify you for it.
Yep.
Or not even like just anybody. Like it's just I just feel like people aren't up to having like conversations like this and being called out for it. Like, if I said something completely ignorant on this podcast and like it gets posted, I would expect if someone feels that way, they should respectfully call me out for it or respectfully message me and say, this isn't cool that you said this because I want people to be for the better of people. Like, if you said something messed up in this podcast, I would tell you, hey,
Yeah.
that was kind of messed up that you said that, as I would expect you to do for me, as I would kind of expect any of my friends to. Because there have been times that I've been called out on stuff and I'll be like, yo, you're right. I should not have said that, or I should not have done that, or, just keep your friends in check, but I feel like too many people don't do that. So, but I mean, people should be able to have open conversations like this more and not have to watch what they say because we're all human. We all make mistakes. Like, and if something's said that shouldn't be said, then it should be just a simple conversation, not like a crucifixion online of why Bryce Hall's the worst person ever because he said something terrible about someone with mental disorders. And it's like, no, I'm still learning myself. Like, if I said something messed up, someone needs to tell me so that I can learn from that. That's why I
Yeah.
never understood why people will dig through people's Facebook and find times they use the N word
Yeah.
from like 18 years ago, and then those people feel like they have to make an apology for it, and it's like that was 10 years ago. Like, I don't know. Just stuff like that is very much like, instead of having open conversations about things, it's more about how can I put this person on blast online and make them look like an idiot for my own self personal gain.
Well, that just goes back to people being or just wanting attention and
God damn it, it's gone full circle again.
we can't stop it. This
No,
whole the deeper we get, the further the point gets driven.
yeah, well, it's true. I mean, it is true. Well, let's switch topics really quick. What have you been working on any personal photo or video projects lately?
Not really. I've been doing I've just been writing for the new album. That's pretty much
Oh, okay.
the only
Okay.
thing that I've been really working on aside from just what I'm doing now. But yeah, that's
That's cool.
music and this has pretty much been my thing since we've been home.
Are you relieved to like have some time to actually sit and work on stuff, or is it like driving you crazy?
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I definitely like writing at home more than on tour. I feel like on tour I can't get anything done, so it's nice to be able to sit in one spot and be able to reflect and think about the things that I wrote. And yeah, it's just being at home is always more comfortable when you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I took on a couple video projects that I was working on like throughout Warp Tour, and then when I went to Europe, and it's just so much easier to like be home, like make a cup of coffee, and like sit and work for a few hours on something, and not have to worry about literally anything else.
Yeah.
It's very nice and a very good change of pace. I'm glad I'm taking the next couple months off because it's nice to live normal for a little while. Just less hectic, like I feel like on the road I couldn't live, like I couldn't do everything I wanted to do. Like if I want to go work out or go get coffee, I'm kind of at the will of like whatever's around, wherever we're at, or whatever everyone's mood is that day, or anything like that. It's nice to just like do whatever you want to do and not worry about anything else.
Yeah. When do you go back out again?
I don't have anything booked until I'm in this moment in the middle of November till December. So I have that right now, but until then, I don't really have anything. Um, I've got your show this weekend, and then like a few other things here and there, like for Halloween and everything. But yeah, I'm pretty much just staying home or just doing like little one-offs until November.
That's awesome. Are you going to be home for Christmas or the holidays?
For Thanksgiving, I won't be. For Christmas, yeah, I'll be here. And that's the best part now is I moved to Orlando, so I live like an hour and a half away from my parents. So it's nice to be like that close instead of like being super far and making a decision of like, okay, well, am I going to fly in for the holidays and then stay there for like a week? Or now I'm just close enough to where I can just like drive over on Christmas and say hello.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
awesome.
and then like come back. So yeah, I'll be home for the holidays. I mean, unless something comes up, but there's not really anyone that could hit me up doing something on Christmas that I would be like super into doing. There's some bands that do like Christmas shows. I'm like, no, totally good. Unless it's like down the street for me, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you have the luxury of saying no too.
That's one of the best parts over the past couple of years of doing this and getting to this point now is that obviously like I was at the point at one time where it's like I kind of took whatever I could get because I had to, and now it's good to actually like turn things down or be picky. I can be like, no, I'm not going to go on tour with you because I don't like X, Y, and Z, or I don't like people in your camp. I'm glad I'm past the point now of like putting up with bands and certain people and working with certain groups of people because I don't really like them, but I'm going to play nice because they pay well.
Yeah.
It's like, or because I can't get any other gig. It's like now I can tour with people who are just good people to tour with and like fun to tour with. Like, so it's been good. I'm definitely glad that I reached that point in my career.
All the work paid off.
Yeah, it did pay off. All the non-paid shoots I lied to my dad about would eventually pay off. Yeah, it's cool, and I'm excited for next year. Will be fun with your schedule and everything like that. So it will be fun.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, I guess we should probably wrap this up because we're going on 2.5 hours now. So
yeah, wow, holy shit, we sure are.
So thank you
for
being a part of this. And do you want to say your website? Plug that?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm just kidding. No, thanks for having me. It's been fun. I'm glad that you made a podcast and that we could just to have discussions. I think that's cool. I like podcasts, but no, if you want to find me, all my stuff is at Where's Bryce or where'sbryce.com. So that's where you can find me, or on tour with Rick sometimes.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, man.